So this session is somewhat special as we are talking to a pioneer of Indian entrepreneurship who's responsible for putting mobile telephony in the hands of a vast segment of Indians. Sunil Bharti Mittal is a first-generation entrepreneur. He's taken his brand Airtel from India to across continents. When I was a young officer, it was impossible to get a telephone connection, Sunil. Actually, I got my first connection through a minister's recommendation, and that was a fixed line connection. But Sunil then dreamt of mobile telephony in that age. And from mobile telephony, he's ventured into a vast range of areas. He's become a great, created a great communication company across continents, serving over 500 million people, one of the top 3 mobile operators in the world. He's taken Bharti from not merely communication, but into real estate, satellite, digitization, across partnerships with governments, SoftBank, Singtel, many, many companies. So truly a global Indian. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly join me in welcoming this very unique Indian entrepreneur. So Sunil, tell me, you were just an importer of push-button telephones at one point. You were a hardcore trader. How did you get into, what made you dream of mobile telephony? And how did you get the first license of Delhi and expand mobile telephony all over the world now?
Well, Amitabh, thank you for that wonderful introduction. Great pleasure to be here this afternoon. We were not merely importing telephones, we were actually manufacturing telephones. We were India's first pioneers in bringing push-button telephones to India. Things were going reasonably well, but I recall that by late 80s, early 90s, I recognized that things were not going as fast as one could have imagined. And I could see many of my fellow entrepreneurs accelerating. Something had to give. For an entrepreneur, you need to move fast, you need to catch up with peers, you need to stay ahead of the trend. And there was this burning desire to look for a breakthrough product. We had done telephones, cordless telephones. We even tried answering machines, which were not that successful in this country, fax machines. But it was in 1991, 25 crores in sales, 5 crores in profit. We were making some name through Beetle telephones, but it was really not good enough. So I still recall waking up on the 2nd of January 1992 in Goa with Naina, my kids at that time, some friends, and going through the Economic Times, buried in page 5, an innocuous Sarkari ad saying the government invites tenders for PMTS, Public Mobile Telephone Services. And just imagine if I would have missed seeing that ad. It was really buried somewhere down there. Where I would have ended up today, I don't know, but that just changed my life. I was a man possessed after looking at that ad. I'd seen mobile telephonies, the radio phones during Asian Games, and some other parts of the world. Early days, I said, this is where I'm going to go. And I remember telling Rajan and Rakesh, I said, there are 3 months. In these 3 months, we have to put a bid together for something we have no idea, and I think it's going to cost a lot of money just putting this bid together, forget putting a project. And on 12th of January, we suddenly had a tragedy in the family. My father passed away. That was 10 days later. It was very sudden. And I still remember doing all his, ceremonies post-death. I took my mother's permission to travel. And I didn't come back until I brought the bid back. And that bid was the most I would say, extensive bid the government had ever seen. I had done helicopter surveys in Bombay and Delhi. I had done satellite imagery. I learned the business in those 3 months. Most of the time I was in the UK learning the trade. And our bid was then selected to be given a license in each of the 4 metros. But then the minister ruled, knowing who you are, small little tiny company, one company will get 1 license. We got Mumbai because we scored the highest, went through High Court, Supreme Court. Finally, we were demoted by 1 grade and came to Delhi, which in any case was my first choice. And given that we have not too much time here, I would say the rest is history.
Okay. No, it's been a phenomenal history. But then you took Airtel from India to Africa. You took it to the global south. What were the learning lessons from India, and what did you have to unlearn from Africa?
Well, by 2006-07, we were very well established in India. We had scale, we had balance sheet, we had no debt at that point in time. I could see many of my troops getting very restless in wanting to do more. And we started to cast our net outside. We tried in Botswana, we didn't get a license. We got a license in Seychelles, we launched ourselves there, went to Sri Lanka. But we needed something meatier, something really big. After 2 aborted attempts in Africa of acquiring MTN, we finally landed up acquiring Zain, $10.7 billion in 2010, a very large sum of money at that point in time. It was a big, bold bet that we made. At that time, the only other big bet was done by Tatas through Chorus Steel, JLR, and this was the second biggest deal coming out of India. 16 countries in one fell swoop in sub-Saharan Africa, a place we didn't know very well, excepting it's an emerging market. It should be more or less like India. If we have been able to do it here, we'll do it there as well. Put together a ragtag team of people of 2 plane loads, sent them there, started to develop Africa. And I must say, it was the right decision if you look at it today, but the first 10 years were very hard. The lessons that we learned were, unlike India, there is no middle class in Africa. There's either a very affluent segment of society or there are lots of poor people. The rates were very high. We went and did the same playbook, lowered the rates. But what we found was people who saved those money bought cooking oil, medicines, probably put another child into school, but never consumed more telephone connections or the calls at that time. We had to unlearn very quickly that you cannot invest billions of dollars expecting customers to come. In India, it was very easy. You put up a cell tower, you had distribution, people would buy SIM cards, you lowered prices, more people came, you lowered it further, even more came. That was a big unlearning. So first 7, 8, 9 years was really very bad. It was like a shock. And then we started to repair ourselves. And the last 4, 5 years, the company has now stabilized. It's a FTSE 50 company. It's a $15 billion African entity, one of the leading players in Africa. And whenever you go into these 15 countries, you'll be very proud to see Airtel in a leadership position there.
Yeah. So Sunil, you've also seen periods of great disruption in India when, the voice cost was done away, you had very low data cost, and you had new players coming in causing massive market disruption. Those must have been very difficult days for you. What are the resilience? What was your strategy to meet that competition?
Well, I wouldn't call it players, I'll call it a player. Because other players we could manage reasonably comfortably. This one player was, of course, difficult. 2002, 2003 was our first encounter, difficult one. The question was not if, the question was when will we shut down? And we came out of that with some difficulty. A lot of, I would say, bruises, probably deep cuts, but we managed to come out. Shift to 2010, when in a surprise move, the player picked up the spectrum. We knew the playbook. 6 years, you could see, because the launch happened in 2016, September, 2010 they got the spectrum. These 6 years, we could see the buildup of artillery, the troops, We had time. A lot of other people probably underestimated what was coming. We knew the power of the tsunami is going to be a tectonic shift on the plates of the telecom industry. And these 6 years gave us a lot of time to bolster our defenses. And when the tsunami hit, 8, 9 players just completely got destroyed. I think we stood firm. One of the reasons was we knew the game, we knew the industry. But I think if I have to put one single factor into why we could survive and others could not, was about our people. The talent in this industry counts for everything. If your people are motivated, if they were inspired, if they were charged up, it didn't matter who they were fighting. And when I was traveling across the country, at that time I was going from one state to another, almost all the time I was traveling, I could see it on the faces of our people. They wouldn't care. They will do what is required. And that is to serve the customer. And I tell you, if you have a team which is inspired, they can do great things.
So the battle was fought in the marketplace, really?
Completely. A bit in the regulatory area as well.
Okay. Only a bit or quite a bit? Okay. So tell me, I mean, you suddenly moved into the space sector. You had this collaboration, you bought over Eutelsat, OneWeb, and from infra on ground to infra in space, and the world of satellites. How do you see the telecom changing in due course?
You know, it's really incumbent upon you as a leader of the pack to continuously look at the shifts that are happening globally.
Yeah.
I was a part of OneWeb long years back, along with some other pioneers.
Yeah.
But I came out of it after 2 years because I couldn't see it successfully getting put together. And then we were invited again during the COVID time in the lockdown period by the British government to revive this company, to have a European UK play in satellite, because you could see the satellite communication or satellite connectivity was coming through. Amitabh, the fact is there are still 2 billion people in the world who have no connectivity. Whatever we may do, and we have been trying, my industry has been trying across the globe, spending hundreds of billions of dollars every year, you can't bring a fiber to them. It's impossible. You can't even bring a radio signal to them. So the only way was through a satellite connectivity. But the geo satellites are at about 36,000 kilometers. They have a 560 to 570 milliseconds of latency. You can't give them today's product, which is video and streaming requirements or doing all sorts of things, or real-time telemetry. You can't just do it on those speeds. You can do broadcasting very well. LEO held hope, but it was being questioned all the time. And I would say OneWeb was actually ahead of even Starlink. But then came Elon Musk, and he started falling on the low LEO, 350, 400 kilometer range, putting up thousands of satellites, which we all see now. And the game changed completely. So if as a telecom company, you don't move into the area where with, let's say, 20,000 satellites, call them cell towers in space, can serve the entire globe, you will be missing a very important area of defense. That was the reason why we went into space. But having recognized that OneWeb will still have a limitation, we have tied up with Starlink. In India, in Africa. You can raise your hand anywhere in the world and you can be connected now. This was the holy grail of our industry. I think that has been firmly established now.
So you've ventured into new areas, you've got into cloud, you've got into AI infrastructure. So how do you see the future of Airtel? Will you remain a telephony company, or will you be an AI company which will also handle telephony networks?
Look, we are a company which understands the need of our customers. And I believe we do a good job with that. We follow what our needs of the customers are and match it with technology. We don't produce any technology ourselves. Currently, given the geopolitical issues we saw, we heard a lot from Dr. Jaishankar just now, sovereign cloud or Bharat cloud, call it whatever you want, is a necessity now. We cannot rely on just Google Cloud or Microsoft or Amazon. They will have their role to play. But if you want to run banking services, India's digital records, government services, critical defense applications, you will need to have a sovereign cloud.
But you've also tied up with Perplexity and you're allowing Indian data to flow out of India.
Yeah, but data is flowing through your Facebook, your search engines all the time in any case. That's a separate debate. We can talk about it. But we will be securing India's data where it's required to be stored. Not necessarily retail customer data, but enterprise customer data in India. We are now connecting banks, we are connecting enterprises, we are the go-to person for the government orders. That will sit into the cloud here. But just to expand onto your question, we are a digital connectivity player, first and foremost. We build billions of dollars of infrastructure every year. We get spectrum and get it through radio as well so that the customer can get it from wherever he is. But networks became from just pure digital connectivity provider to intelligent networks to now supremely intelligent networks. Where do we go from here? The next generation of network is now going to take this to the next level. From super intelligent networks, I think we are decisively moving into sensing networks. So what you're going to be wearing, your spectacles, my watch, earpods, they're going to be sensing what's going on in the world now. So if Dr. Jaishankar is sitting with Marco Rubio, the glasses on his eye will tell him the twitch on his muscle allows him some more negotiations. That is the level this is going to go to. It's going to be seeing everything, it's going to be listening everything, and it's going to be seeing your own body rhythm. All this is going to come through, and your device, smartphones, are going to be less useful because everything is happening around your eyes. That is where this world is going. You have to therefore build massive amount of AI compute capacity in the country. You have to build AI data centers, you have to have your own cloud, because this will require massive silicon power, semiconductor, but importantly, compute in your devices.
Yeah. So, Sunil, since AI will be such a transformational force in the days, we are working with about 30,000 GPUs. Suddenly you have OpenAI talking about 11 gigawatt, which is 5 million GPUs from NVIDIA. I mean, the scale of transformation that is happening is just phenomenal. I mean, we are providing computing power to our startups and researchers, opening up our data bank. But what more do we need to do to really build up our own large language models and to build applications and make a quantum technological leap forward?
Yeah, one is basic infrastructure. I think that's the fundamental need. What do these large, consuming, guzzling GPUs need? Power. Land, of course, is plentiful here. We need to have more power, probably, hopefully green power, because it requires so much power that you'll heat the entire globe. And then you need people to start working on our local LLMs. There's 1.5 billion people here, enough data floating through our networks. We need to have our local people building our own LLMs to ensure that we are, one of the players in AI, not just a pure consumer of AI, as you mentioned on Perplexity or anything else.
Yeah. So, any vision of getting into data centers as well as the next step?
We are in data centers. We are one of the leading players. We are at about 250 megawatts at the moment. We just signed a 300 megawatts, a single site with Google in Andhra Pradesh.
Vizag?
In Vizag, yes. Yeah. More is coming. So we will scale up to a gigawatt fairly quickly, and that work is going on.
Okay. Sunil, India is the only country which does fast payment, credit, stock market transaction, insurance, all within 30 seconds to 1 minute on the mobile. What is the next disruption India should do through the mobile telephony?
Well, I think the digital public infrastructure that you spoke about, on which we entirely rest our digital stack, payments, education, healthcare, digital locker, government subsidies, DBT, I think that has been transformational. It is being acknowledged around the world. I mean, I work with a lot of African countries who are desperate to get this lifted and shifted into their countries. Some work has started. What more can happen? I think if your fiscal part is taken care of through fintechs that are prevalent here, your investments to stock markets are real time, your healthcare records are real time. I think this whole DPI that we have developed, the public infrastructure, is the base on which new services should be launched all the time by our startups, which is happening.
Okay. Tell me, how do you manage to keep so fit?
Like you.
No, not me. You look much younger. How?
I think when you get beaten up so much in life, you stay fit.
You ended up beating others. You have hardly got beaten up. But what do? You exercise or do?
I do keep one thing. I do keep a good regime. I mean, I do work out or do yoga or do something for an hour every day.
Every day. And a little bit of golf as well?
No, golf is time to effort ratio is too much. I mean, it takes a lot of time.
But you've created so much of wealth, you can afford to relax a little bit now.
I think the entrepreneurs are inherently restless, and it's hard for them to relax.
So, onto these new areas of growth, that you're looking at: insurance, real estate, satellite, digitization. Which is the one with the maximum passion, love, and potential for you?
I am now 68. It's getting harder for me to put my arms around new age technologies.
Yeah.
I'm sure many other leaders in our company, maybe next generation in our family, will be involved with more of that. I am a very curious mind, so I try to go deep into technology. Despite not being an engineer, I understand reasonably well. Mm-hmm. But I think for me, the next 10 years is going to be how to make Airtel one of the foremost global digital services provider. We have made a move in the UK. We own 25% of British Telecom. We have our sights on some more European assets. We are in Africa already. We would like to have Airtel be the first company in the world to have 1 billion customers, up from about 600 million today. And
what's the time span you're looking at?
Depends on how many acquisitions you can sort of make. But let's say in these 8-10 years, that should be the dream. That India rooted, a company born out of India, can be the foremost telecom, digital connectivity MNC the world has ever seen. That's a vision I behold, and that's what I'm working towards.
So UK, Europe, Africa. And you're looking at penetrating North America as well? Difficult?
Difficult. It's too late.
Okay.
Too late.
So several geographies from here.
Yes.
So truly a Indian global mobile telephony company.
Yeah, I mean, if you really look at it, there are a handful of probably companies which have brands going out of India.
Yeah.
Today you see Airtel.
There is no great Indian brand actually.
16 countries you see Airtel today.
Yeah.
It'll be nice to see them in many more countries, have many more, businesses, open up more trade relationship with these countries. The old saying, when an American visits a country, if he sees 2 golden arches, a McDonald's, he knows it's a place he can work with. I think we should be one of those flag bearers for India, that when you go into a country, if you see Airtel, you know Indians can work there.
So for you, exports, penetrating global markets, and becoming a great global player is critical.
On the platform that we built in India, taking it outside.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Sunil. Ladies and gentlemen, So here is a person who's demonstrated what resilience, ambition, hard work can do to create a great Indian company and make it a great global company as well. Thank you very much, Sunil.
Thank you.